Hello. If you have been wondering about how you can stay in the Philippines without being a citizen, like maybe you're a Filipino overseas worker and you acquired citizenship outside of the Philippines and now want to come back, or maybe you're an American citizen and you would like to know, well, what kind of visa could I get in the Philippines if I do not want to acquire dual citizenship? Well, let me explain to you one type of visa that you can get. It's called SRRV. Hang on, I'll give you the details. Okay, when I was considering applying for dual citizenship, I researched some of the options that I have on how I can spend time in the Philippines. I will always come back to the US, but I'd like to explore the Philippines, and rather than getting dual citizenship, what else is there? So I thought I'm going to share with you the things that I found out about this SRRV, keeping in mind that I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an immigration expert. I just want to share with you whatever information I was able to gather, and in hopes that it will help you. Let's talk first about the so-called SRRV visa and the requirements. It stands for a Special Resident Retiree Visa. It is issued to foreigners and overseas Filipinos. That means non-citizens of Filipinos who went overseas and lost their citizenship, as well as foreigners. It entitles the holder to multiple entry privileges with the right to stay permanently, indefinitely in the Philippines. Okay? A retiree who applies for this kind of visa has the option to enroll based on his retirement status, meaning, if you're no longer working and you want to retire, you can retire in the Philippines. Now, if you really retired and you have a pension, you're 50 years old and above, you're required to have a time deposit of $10,000 plus monthly pension of $800 for a single applicant and $1,000 for a couple. That means if you're receiving at least $800 for single or at least $1,000 for a couple, you will be required to put a deposit of $10,000. Okay? Now, if you have no pension, you must be between 35 to 49. Now, you can also be over 50, okay? But that will be next. If you are between 35 to 49, you'll be required to put a $10,000 time deposit. Now, here's the next one. If you're 50 years old and above, you will be required $20,000 time deposit. Now, this is just my thought. Why, if you have a pension and you're 50 years old or above, it's $10,000. What if you're same 50 years old and above, but you don't have a pension, it's $20,000. Now, the reason is on the first part, where you're only required $10,000, monthly pension of $800 or $1,000 or more will be coming into the Philippines. So I guess the Philippines is just after the money. The reason they are giving this privilege to foreigners or overseas Filipinos is so that the money that they will spend coming from overseas will come into the country. And if you have a pension, you have $800 to $1,000 a month or more. $10,000 deposit is enough. But if you have no pension, then they will require a $20,000 deposit. That's the only thing I can think of why they're asking for more money if you have no pension. Now, if you're a former Filipino citizen, as I said, you lost your citizenship because, let's say, you came to the U.S. and acquired U.S. citizenship, and you are at least 35 years old or older, regardless of the number of dependents, a $1,500 time deposit is required. So they're giving you a break for being a former Filipino. All right? Now, this may not apply to most of you. It says ambassadors of foreign countries who serve and retired in the Philippines, current and former staff members of international organization, at least 50 years old, there's a $1,500 time deposit required. Okay? So that is, as far as this requirement is concerned, the Philippines formed this came up with this SRRV visa to remove the red tape of the other types of visa, and you can stay there, but you have some monetary obligation to, and this is like I think this is a refundable deposit. It's not like a payment that you lost, but you will be required to have a time deposit again for the money to stay in the Philippines. Now, resident retiree. Okay, so once you have an SRRV, you can bring with you without additional deposit your spouse and unmarried child below 21 years old. If the spouse is not joining, then you can bring 2 unmarried children. They have to be unmarried. If they're married, they will not qualify, under 21 years old. The additional children with the same qualifications may be allowed to join, but there is additional deposit of 15,000 per child. And this provision does not apply to former Filipino citizens. Okay. Now let's talk about the important provisions of SRRV. The holder of SRRV may reside in the Philippines without securing extension of his stay from the Bureau of Immigration. PRA, Philippine Retirement Authority, members who are holders of valid SRRV are exempted from paying travel tax provided they have not stayed in the Philippines for more than 1 year from the date of entry. So you're exempt from travel tax as long as you go out after 1 year and come back. But if you have been there for more than a year, then you will also be subjected to travel tax. SRRV holder may not own real property in the Philippines. So it's not like you're not like a citizen, okay? In the Philippines, they're very tough on this. Only citizens are allowed to own real property. Now, if you're legally married to a Philippine citizen, a man or a woman, he or she may construct a residential unit on a parcel of land owned or registered in the name of the Philippine spouse. So your wife or husband can buy the land because it can only be in his name, and then you can construct a building and put it on the land. But natural-born Filipinos who lost their citizenship and now acquired an SRRV visa may acquire a maximum of 5,000 square meters of urban land and 3 hectares of agricultural land. Now, the dollar deposit may be converted into peso after 30 days upon issuance of special retirees visa. So you will have to deposit the dollars into an account, and you may convert it to peso after 30 days from the time you receive your SRRV. But I don't know why you will, because if it's a deposit, I would just let it stay there in the dollar account. Now, what is the benefit of SRRV visa? Well, permanent non-resident status, you will have that permanent non-resident, you have the permanent non-immigrant status with a multiple entry privilege through special resident retirees visa. You're exempt from customs duties and taxes for importation of personal effects. You don't have to pay for those. Exemption from exit clearance and re-entry permits. Exemption from payment of travel tax provided the retiree has not stayed in the Philippines for more than 1 year from the date of last entry. That's what I mentioned earlier. Conversion of the requisite deposit to active investment, including purchase of a condominium unit. Well, that's good, because if you're planning to buy a condominium unit, by the way, you do not have to be a citizen of the Philippines to buy a condo. You have to be a citizen to own land. When you buy a condo, you're buying stock in the condominium corporation. So when you buy a condo unit, that will be considered part of the deposit, and most likely you'll be able to meet those requirements if you buy a condo in the Philippines. Interest on the foreign currency deposit is tax-free and payable to retiree in the Philippine pesos. So the interest that you earn will be tax-free. Foreign currency time deposit can be converted to Philippine peso, but interest is subject to withholding tax. Pension annuities remitted to the Philippines are tax-free, and guaranteed withdrawal of required deposit, including reinvested profits, capital gain, and dividend from investment.
There you have it. You now have everything that I know before I decided to get my dual citizenship visa. This is one area that many Americans may want to pursue because they do not qualify, or former Filipino citizen who qualify for dual citizenship but does not want to be a dual citizen. This is one option that you have. In a future video, I'll be talking about what they call a 13A and I think 13B visa. Okay, so hang loose, and that will be in future videos. Thank you very much, and if you have any comments, any corrections to what I said, please make a comment below. I will really appreciate it, and if you subscribe to my channel, that will be greatly appreciated. Till next.